Hello and welcome to another edition of We Stream. Today we're going to be checking out Boyinaband, Don't Stay in School. Before we do, this video is brought to you by you all. That's right, if you want me to react to stuff I wouldn't usually check out, and you don't want to rely on me looking at your comment and deciding to react to it, go to Skeem.com and force me to do it. Links will be below. Also, I'm a musician myself. I make some content that you should check out.
But no Novocaine, no Renegade is a fit for admitting the permanent stain. Follow the letters I penciled in vain. Told them my face by the people I love that my passions to them are a lingering bane. Call me insane, chasing a dream, but it seems that I never dropped out any screams.
And all of that is the plug. Now, Boyinaband is someone who I know of as the dude who cameos in other YouTubers' videos that I watch, like PewDiePie. I've never heard his music independently, so I'm curious to see what this is. It's called Don't Stay in School, so I'm pretty sure we're going to hear a song about why the education system is terrible. I don't know where Boyinaband is from, if he's from Europe, like the guy's videos I see him in, or if he's a US boy. But we're gonna see what this is, and I'm sure I'll have a few things to say from a United States perspective on how terrible the education system is here. Let's go! This dude's hair is always such a interesting, unique look he has. I think this video is like 6 years old too, if I looked correctly in the description.
I wasn't taught how to get a job, but I can...
Okay, he's a Euro boy. Instantly know that. So there we go. He's from Europe. So apparently Europe has some of the same issues we do in certain countries for their education system. So hooray for global failures of teaching people things of value.
I remember dissecting a frog. I wasn't taught how to pay tax, but I know loads about Shakespeare's classics. I was never taught how to vote. They devoted that time to defining isotopes. So what's...
Yeah, I mean, we learn a lot of stupid stuff. The, what is it? Is it the quadratic formula? Opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. I think that's it, if that's the quadratic formula, or some formula. I still have that in my brain, but nothing useful from school. I didn't learn, I learned that like almost 20 years ago. It's stuck with me. Good job, school, but it's not useful.
I wasn't taught how to look after my health, but mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
Yeah, man, we all know the good stuff.
Never spent a lesson on current events. Instead, I studied the old American West. I was never taught what laws there are.
All right. He was taught the old American West. Maybe he's just got a weird voice. I'm going to look this up. Where is Boyinaband from? All right, so he's from the UK. But apparently in the UK, they teach you about the American West. We don't learn shit about the UK because we don't give a fuck around here.
I was never taught what laws there are. Let me repeat, I was not taught the laws for the country I live in.
Yeah, that's true.
But I know how Henry VIII killed his women.
Yeah. Okay, I guess we learned about Henry VIII. We learned about old European stuff, but I feel like the American Old West is kind of recent, so it seems interesting to teach it. You know, that's kind of where my brain went there. That'd be like learning about whatever the hell the UK was doing in the 17 and 1800s, which I don't think I know at all.
Divorced, beheaded, died. Divorced, beheaded, survived. Glad that's in my head instead of financial advice.
Yay!
I was shown the wavelengths of different hues of light, but I was never taught my human rights.
What is he citing here? Oh boy, I'm not reading all that.
Apparently there's 30. Do you know them? I don't. Why the hell can't we both recite them by rote? I know igneous, metamorphic, and sedimentary rocks, yet I don't know squat about trading stocks or...
So, I'm wondering if this song's gonna go anywhere else. It's 3 minutes. I mean, I wonder if he's just gonna list everything. I'm waiting for him to kind of turn a corner here. Because now I'm like, alright, I get it. We all know this. This shouldn't be news to anybody. It's frustrating, but it's not like news. Because school systems, like anything else, they're run on money. It comes from government money, but the government gives the schools with better test scores, at least in the US, more money. And tests are based on stupid, useless information like this to try to compete against the globe for which country knows the most pointless information the best. And so the schools with the better scores get the more money. And the more money a school gets, the more money its administrators get, because you know that money only funnels down a little bit to students. The administrators at the top take the biggest piece of that pie, because fuck all is why. And yeah.
How money works at all? Where does it come from? How does the thing that motivates the world function?
I mean, technically in my high school, there were economics classes to learn about that. So at least in the US, you were able to learn about that.
It's not taught to budget and disperse my earnings.
And we also had budgeting classes and how to balance checkbook classes. We had a lot of finance classes when I was in high school. So that wasn't true of my high school, but I know there's a lot of high schools that don't have that as well. So that's not a universal thing, but I was fortunate enough to go to high schools that taught you about credit scores, balancing your checkbook, budgeting, how economics worked. I remember I took an economics class and then a home finance class or something, that's what they called it. And that's what taught you about budgeting, not spending more than you earn, how credit cards work, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we had a whole course for that. We did, and it helped in my adult life a bit. So for that section, I have to say my school covered it, but I'm assuming most schools wouldn't.
I was too busy there rehearsing cursive, didn't learn how much it
Yeah, learning cursive was, yeah.
cost to raise a kid and what an affidavit is, but I spent days on what the quadratic equation is.
Hey, quadratic equation! I think that's what I was talking about earlier.
To b plus or minus the square.
Yeah, negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a.
Square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a.
Hey, I had it right! Hooray, the education system doesn't work. I'm so glad this got brought up. I'm not the only one that remembers this fucking formula. We all have it in our brain. Ingrained as the most important part of human history is this equation. And I don't even remember what it's for.
That's insane. That's absolutely insane. They made me learn that over basic first aid or how to recognize the most deadly mental disorders.
Yeah, I don't know why they don't teach CPR and stuff in school. That would make sense.
Or diseases with preventable causes, or how to buy a house with them.
They taught us about diseases with preventable causes and mental health in our health classes. So that's another one that differentiated, at least at my school. And I went to 2 different high schools, and both of them offered these classes, and it was in 2 different states. I went to high school in Indiana and in Colorado. And in both of those states, classes about finance and health were offered, and some of them were required for graduation. So our health classes taught you about preventable diseases, sexual and otherwise, as well as mental health issues, how to spot it, how to treat it, what to do with it, etc. We had school counselors who were awful at what they did, but they were supposed to be better than what they were. But anyway, those things were also covered at my schools, at least.
Mortgage, if I could afford it, because abstract maths was deemed more important than advice that would literally save thousands of lives. But it's cool, because now I could tell you if the number of unnecessary deaths caused by that choice was prime.
Hey, that's a fun little liner. Also, quick side note. A lot of people say the reason schools are terrible is teachers are underpaid. In the US, that's not true. I can tell you why it's not true. If you look up stats on this, they'll say that US teachers are paid 19% less than other college graduates, which seems, oh no. However, in the US, 2.5 months out of the year on average, teachers don't work. They're still receiving full benefits, which in the US, 2.5 months of benefits is like $3,000 to $6,000 that they're getting for just keeping health insurance and stuff. So they're still receiving their benefits for the 2.5 months that they're not required to work. They lots of times they might tinker with their curriculum and stuff, but as someone whose parent was a teacher, they're not required to work those 2.5 months. And 2.5 months is about 21% of the year, 20.8% if you want to get really particular, I believe. So for about 21% of the year, they don't work, but they make 19% less than other college graduates, which means technically they make 2% more than other college graduates when you work it out. My mom would usually find other jobs for the school, whether it would be like coaching or doing like sort of intramural stuff or daycare stuff on the off season for the school, because there's still school programs that they'll pay you for. The problem is those don't usually pay as much as the regular salary of a teacher or another college graduate. So unless you find a really good gig for those 2.5 months off, you'll still end up making less because you work less. So it's kind of a weird problem to have, because it's like, yeah, teachers are underpaid when you look at it from a yearly perspective, but that's because there's about 20% of the year that there's no work for them to do. It's a weird problem, but teachers just being blanketly underpaid is not the biggest issue with the school system. It's really the amount of money that could go to administrators for inflating test scores that's the biggest problem within schooling. But it's all wonky. And before any teachers get pissed in the comments about how little they're paid, everyone is underpaid pretty much in any occupation, arguably. So if you want me to actually go into that in more detail, comment below that you want to see that on my other channel, We Speak, which will be pinned in a comment as well. So if you want to hear more of my thoughts on wages in America, maybe specifically to teaching or whatever, spam the comments saying you want that on my We Speak channel. It's been a little while since I've uploaded on there, but I do have videos planning to go on there. Subscribe to that channel, blah, blah, blah. That's another plug. Let's move on.
Never taught present-day practical medicines, but I was told what the ancient Hippocratic method is. I've got a headache.
I like kind of some of the rhymes. His cadence and tone through this is a little repetitive for my taste, and so is the content of the song, and there's no real hook to keep me going or interested. So I do find this dragged out a bit, because the point's been made, and so if you're going to keep me on a song like this after you've made your point that we all agree with, either have a hook to break it up and keep me interested musically, or change up the cadence and flow. Like, I need something to keep me engaged for 3 minutes of essentially the same thing being repeated in different ways.
Pain is ceaseless, what should I take? Maybe try some leeches? Could we discuss domestic abuse and get the facts, or how to help my depressed friend with a mental state?
Again, we learned about the mental health stuff. Domestic abuse, I don't remember if that was really talked about much.
No, but learn mental maths, because you won't have a calculator with you every day.
I remember always arguing with my teacher, we're going to have calculators with us in our pockets. I remember it was in middle school. I was like, we have pagers. We're not that far from having calculators that fit in your pockets. And she's like, that's nonsense. Well, you dumb fatty. I was right, bitch.
They say it's not the kids, the parents are the problem. Then if you taught the kids to parent, that's the problem solved then.
That's very true. That's one of my favorite points he's made. If you would teach the kids how to parent, then we wouldn't have all these shitty parents, would we? And it's true. We have a lot of shitty parents, and they were raised on a shitty education system, and the cycle of shit goes on.
All this advice about using a condom, but not for when you actually have a kid when you want one.
All the advice for preventing having a kid, but no advice for if you actually do have kids. Very true. There were definitely no classes on what to do if you have a kid.
I'm only fluent in this language. For serious, the rest of the world speaks too. Do you think I'm an idiot?
Technically, it's my fault that I'm not fluent in a language, because every school I went to heavily encouraged me to take enough classes to become fluent, and I took whatever I could to avoid having to do that. But I think if they would introduce multiple languages earlier rather than waiting till high school, it'd be a lot easier to do, and we'd actually learn it. So that's where the school system goes wrong. You should introduce secondary languages in grade school or earlier, rather than waiting till high school when you'd have a high school student like me going, no thanks, pal.
Chose the solo over the political system, so like a typical citizen now I don't know what I'm voting on. Which policies exist or how to make them change. Mais oui, je parle un peu de français.
Nice little français thing. Politics. Yeah, I don't think my high school went over that. I learned a lot about political parties and affiliations in college. There were courses that I took for political science that taught me about that, but not much in high school.
At 18, I was expected to elect a representative for a system I had never, ever been presented.
What do you guys call high school everywhere else? Is it secondary school? I don't remember. I know that high school is something else in most other countries than the US.
But I won't take it. I'll tell everyone my childhood was wasted. I'll share it everywhere how I was educated, and insist these pointless things don't stay in school.
Yay, don't stay in school. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of time wasted in education that doesn't get a lot done, but yep. If you can't explain why a subject is applicable to most people's lives, that subject should not be mandatory. I mean, geology, learning about fucking rocks, and lots of the other sciences that are absolutely pointless. All the, like, theoretical thoughts of science and history, like, bro, no. Those are applicable if you're in those fields, and otherwise they're not. Introduce the topics, but we should choose if we want to learn more, yes. Uh-huh. Alright, Don't Stay in School by Boyinaband. So overall, as a song, I am not much of a fan at all. As a song, it's kind of... ugh. As a message, I like it, but the song was just very repetitive. It didn't have a lot of cadence switches. It just kind of sat in the same groove for 3 minutes. And even the message stayed the same for about 3 minutes. I really would have liked to see some structure changes, maybe a beat change, maybe a hook. There's so many things I would want different if you're gonna go that long on a song and not really introduce new topics. It's just the same topic, but different examples of it. Overstayed its welcome for me as a song, but I really like the message. Boyinaband, clearly a talented dude. Not sure how I feel about his rap overall. It's kind of there for me. So yeah, I mean, I like this for the most part, just not in love with it from a musical perspective. And that's all from me today. Leave your comments about your thoughts below. As always, don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like, and stick around for the credits to see the people who helped continue making this channel possible. Until next time, I scheme, you scheme, we all scheme for ice cream. Bye!